All right, YouTube, this is Mr. Mean coming at you this Monday evening. As you can see on the screen, I have the fantastical, full of serenity, SPF, a.k.a. Big Irish, a.k.a. Sean Patrick Fannin. Sir, how are you? Oh, and he's got a beverage.
Tasty beverage there. I'm fine, actually. I'm living my best life these days. We're calling it Life 3.0, as a matter of fact.
That is the best way to live it, sir. The best way.
Ever since dropping all the weight and getting my hip replaced, yeah, I'm doing good.
Man, that's awesome. Last time I saw you, you had lost a fair amount of weight, and so you look even slenderer, if I may use the vernacular. So that is awesome, man. I am so happy to hear it.
No more cane, and I'm up and dancing these days. It's
nice. Does the lady love do the dance as well?
Yes. There's a new lady love from whence last you and I spent time together.
Okay.
Jennifer Scheinfeld, who's also CEO of Evil Beagle. Corinne and I are still very, very dear friends.
Oh, excellent.
We reached a point in our lives where our journey moved in different places. She has a new love in her life who I'm thrilled for her. She's very, very happy, and we're both living our best, and we're still good friends. But Jennifer challenges me in all kinds of new ways, and a lot of the new stuff going on in my life is thanks to her.
Oh, that's awesome, man! I'm so happy to hear that, and much love and respect to the Karen. As I met her once, and she was wonderful, and you've always been one of my idols. So I can honestly say it is a pleasure and a treat for me to get to chat with you. So
entirely too kind, sir.
I know. That's why I'm called Mr. Mean. It's a misnomer.
But I'm loving that bookshelf, I gotta say.
Yeah, it's I need more space, sir. We're buying a house hopefully at the end of the year. And I've got, about on either side of me, you can't see off camera, there's about 10 boxes on each side that are full. So yeah. I need a lot. That shelf is 8 feet tall, 5 feet wide, and I don't think I can get much more in there.
I note you had something very prominently displayed.
I had to do a little cheese. It is... I don't know if you remember, but at ChupaCabraCon, you reached out to the fine folks at Chupra because I went 1 year and I had just an abysmal time. It was the worst time of ever, and I posted about it on my YouTube channel, and you happened to see it, and you reached out to those guys and said, "Hey, you got to make this right," and it was awesome, by the way, and they did. They set my wife and I up, and we had an absolutely fantastical time. And you made a wonderful offer because it was horrible. I had just gotten laid off from my job. I was working at a plant, and I had backed the Kickstarter for Savage Rifts, and you made me the kind offer to give me all the PDFs as just a gesture of goodwill and just pure niceness. And I was like, nope, I've already paid for it. The money's already spent. It's good, but I appreciate the offer. Give it to somebody else who really, really needs it. Which we did, by the way. Good, awesome. So. And my life has taken me up here to Minnesota, and I love it. I love the cold. I'm a polar bear. I love the snow, and I have a beautiful 4.5-year-old and the same lovely wife. We are celebrating getting just over 10 years. So
congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I got parole in another 10, so I'm good.
God. Oh my God. Ouch.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
I'm gonna just take a drink there.
And so so I had to throw a little cheese up there because I didn't have a physical copy. I suppose I could have put my iPad up there with the Powers and Paragons, Prowlers and
Prowlers and Paragons.
Yeah. Right. Okay. P&P.
There's still a lot of people who think very, very fondly of that Savage Rift business, and my friend Sean Robertson is still doing a great job with it. There's a lot of fans out there enjoying it, so I'm still proud of that work. Still very proud of
you did an amazing job. It's one of my favorite Savage World settings, and I'm a long time Rifts and Palladium Fantasy guy, and so to have a system like that's flexible and playable and all that fun stuff, and to be able to play test it with you was phenomenal. So it goes beyond that. But I would be remiss if I didn't say that I'm so happy to see Evil Beagle doing so well.
Thank you.
And being so well thought of in the community and stuff. And, you know, and it's funny because I was like, I've been doing all these interviews and stuff and chatting with people. Oh, there it is. Show it off. Oh, that's pretty.
This has been a huge, huge hit for us. I mean, just gigantic. It's currently considered one of the best superhero role-playing games, not just currently, but of all time.
Oh.
And it has absolutely elevated our profile. So thank you. Yes, Evil Beagle Games is definitely taken off. And Jennifer gets a huge amount of the credit for that because I was failing to run that company for over 12 years, and she turned it around in less than a year.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I'm going to tell you how far I go back. I go back to the days of first edition Shinetar.
Oh, yeah.
And before that, there was a little one called Shards of the Stone.
Oh, yeah. I got a copy of that.
Mine's in a box. I couldn't find it, and I swore the next time I go to a convention that you're at, I was going to hog-tie you and get you to sign it.
Oh, yeah, actually, no, it's over at Jen's place. She's got that on one of her shelves.
It's still one of my favorite games, by the way. I mean, the fusion system, you know, had its quirks and everything, but the book itself was gorgeous, and the layout.
Conceptually, just
the art
stuff.
was, you guys knocked it out of the park.
Working with Jason Engel is always a pleasure and a treat, and I'm still in touch with those guys.
Is Jason still in the business?
I think he's really working at the highest possible levels and doing a bunch of commercial art in some other fields, but he still does a few magic cards here and some high-level concept stuff there. But you know, he's still a friend. He still touches it.
Super nice guy.
Aaron Acevedo, Aaron's still in. Actually, he reached out to me today, wanting me to come and do some work for him. So.
Life is good when you have too much work, right?
And he's just, I mean, from being this guy who was like, man, I really want to be a writer, to become one of the most well-known and respected art directors in the business and running his own company and doing really well with it. Yeah. And that S5E project was just such a huge hit for them.
Yeah.
So
and prosperity all the way around is always a good thing in this tiny little niche of gaming that is by no means a necessity in anybody's life, no matter how much we think it might be. It truly isn't, compared to putting food on the table and a roof over your head and medical bills and family and yada, yada, yada. So it's nice that we can afford to do some of this. But I want to get down to the tax, because you're in that same age bracket as me, old. We just leave it at that. We don't go any further.
First dungeon master in Smyrna, Georgia, and I wear that badge proudly. Actually, I'm not ashamed.
That's right.
I go all the way back.
I'm pretty sure, like me, you cut yourself on the original D&D. Cut your teeth.
There was a powder blue book where you could play levels 1 through 3, and I had to keep on the Borderlands to play it with.
Yeah,
that's where I built Shinetar from. I had this keep, and there was lands that were the border, and I built the lands out. And that's where I ended up with Shinetar. That's how I started my game design career as much as I started playing.
Yeah, so, then you didn't correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you used to do some work for Shadis magazine?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I think I have those issues buried away somewhere.
As a matter of fact, one of the things that I'm in the Wikipedia for is the Spark Before the Flame, which is one of the earliest articles about playing Star Wars, but not playing the direct storylines. Like, how do you play characters that aren't overshadowed by the main storyline characters? And that was actually a very popular article I wrote.
Yeah.
So that's how I got to know Jolly, and then I got to know John Zinser and those guys. I was around when they were first playtesting Legend of the Five Rings and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
phenomenal. Good stuff. So there's always a couple of these weird questions that I like to ask, and I think I know the answer, but I'm not going to say anything.
I fear not your question, sir.
That's right. Put on thy armor of the vodka and answer, or gin.
Oh no! This is very, very nice local distilled rum.
Oh, excellent. You're on an airplane. It's going down on a deserted island.
All right.
It will be just you in one role-playing game. What is it? One book. Only one book.
Well, now, am I going to have anybody to play with?
Well, that's not the important part of the question. We all have imaginary friends in our head, so we can do that. So
Well,
one book.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. This is going to sound cheesy, but it's true. I finally designed the game I want to play, and I love running it and I love playing it. Lately, people have been stepping up to run games so that I can play, and it has been an absolute thrill. And I'm not going to lie, it's this. This is
Excellent.
the work I'm most proud of all the work that I have done all these years. Dude, you got to understand, I drove from Denver to Northern California. I had Michael, the Professor Serbrook, with me, who's well known in champion circles as well. And that's, as you remember, that's where I started my real career.
Yep.
The major part of my career started with 4th edition champions, High Tech Enemies, Mutant File, all that stuff. I got to know Ray Greer, Steve Peterson, George McDonald, Bruce Harlick. They're all very dear friends of mine and have been for a very long time. They launched my career. So I went out there, and we took my neighbor, Jonathan Catwigan, who had never role played before until he started hanging out with me. He just started coming over and like, you know what, I'll try this out. And the three of us did a buddy road trip, and we stayed at Steve Peterson's house next to the San Francisco Bay. And I had him, Ray, George, and Bruce all say, like, you know, tell me what your first superhero characters ever were in Champions. I'm going to recreate them in this system. And we had got a bunch of their friends together who also wanted to play. And then it turned out that Steve's sons, his 2 adult sons, had never role played with him before. So I built characters for them, and they played. And I ran this big, mega epic game, and they all had an absolute blast. They all cherished the moment. They all got to be player characters together at the table, and they all got to play their original characters, and they had so much fun. And they all pretty much did the same thing, that this is what they would have wanted to see Champions evolve into. And that was the greatest compliments of my life.
Oh, I can
was
imagine.
Getting that. Yeah. And I really truly love the core of this game. And I'm still tinkering. I'm still making up new stuff. We're working on a thing here. When I've talked about it a little bit, but I really haven't made an official announcement. But we're working on something called the Action Adventure Engine, A/AE. If you remember Champions and then the Hero system, AAE is basically the Hero system component to Prowlers and Paragons, and it's going to be for playing pulp and cinema and all those other kinds of things. So I'm still working on. And well, I say I, but it's really we. A bunch of us are working on it. I'm working from the framework that Len created. Len's freaking brilliant. As much as I want to consider myself a great game designer, my best work is always improving something that somebody else has put a lot of work into, and I just come in and go, allow me to take your genius and craft something even more interesting from it, and that's what Len and I did. So
you can't beat that.
Yeah. So yeah, it would be PNP. I don't enjoy running anything more, and I don't enjoy playing anything more right now.
Well, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if it hits all the buttons for you, you know, and it does what you want it to do, that's all that matters, you know, really. At the end of the
5 years designing the game I wanted to run and play.
Yeah. So, okay. So, second question: what's the one game that you wish you would have wrote that's out there that you didn't write?
Ooh.
Yeah. I like to make you think.
There's a time I would have certainly said Savage Worlds, because I still consider that a genius core design. It evolved from some interesting places. You know, I'm gonna let you in a little secret here. Almost any answer I give is going to be with the caveat. Oh man, this is going to come off a little arrogant, but this is just who I am. I tinker. That's what I do. I tinker games, right? So it would be with the caveat of, I wish I'd written it, and I wish I had had a chance to also maybe done a few things with it. I'll say the Tri-Stat system, Big Eye, Small Mouth.
That's a good one. It's up there.
The Tri-DX. That is one. I actually made a bid to acquire rights for it at one point.
Right.
And I was talking to Steve Wick, who was still associated with White Wolf at the time, and they genuinely were like, "Oh, sure, let's see if we can figure it out." They couldn't find the paperwork. White Wolf or CCP, who owned White Wolf at the time, they knew they owned it, but they couldn't find the legal paperwork, and they were like, we don't have time or really the resources right now to have anybody look for it. It's just not worth our time right now.
Yeah.
And so it just sort of laid there, and then of course eventually somebody else came along and did something with it anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one I kind of wish I'd been able to say,
that's very cool.
I had been able to start with that one and do some stuff with it, because there's some really elegant stuff in that, and I think I could have run the ball down the line a little bit. Some very interesting places.
Played it many times with my buddy Scandal in Walnut Creek when I was living up there. We would make all kinds of crazy characters. So yeah, we've it's one that's near and dear to my heart as well. So you've been in this game a long time. I've seen you at several different conventions. You seem to get all over the place, which is awesome.
Well, before the plague, anyway.
Right. We will not name that which shall not be named.
Sorry.
Don't tell them.
Right.
But hopefully it's getting better. This I know most people have had their vaccinations and everything, so hopefully I'll be at Gamehole Con in Madison, Wisconsin this year at the end of October. So
that's one of the ones that I've wanted to
you should come on down. I know it's short notice, but make an effort. We'll put you in a room. Don't worry about it. We'll make it happen. I've never been, so this is my 4th year in Minnesota. We left right after Hurricane Harvey and haven't looked back. And so loving it up here. I have a very good job, and I'm, we're, like I said, we're buying a house.
When is Gamehole?
The last week of October. So
ping me some info. Maybe we'll pull something together.
Yeah, I'll definitely send it to you. So thank you for joining the Discord server and making this call possible.
Sure, absolutely.
I'm kind of fanboying out because I've talked to you numerous times at conventions, and it's always been like, "Hey, dude, what's going on?" And it's different when you're on the other side of the camera.
Listen, I'm really appreciative of a chance to hang out and chat with you. We had a great time. We had a great time hanging out, and it's been too long, and this is really nice.
Yeah.
And,
so
I'm hoping your readers, or not your readers, your followers, have had a chance to check out Prowlers and Paragons, and if they haven't,
it's all over our Discord right now. So I put a link to the drive-through on it, and
there's a freebie. There's a very complete, free $0 or pay what you want or whatever
primer.
A primer, and it's got all the core rules and everything like that. And, we got stuff we have an incredibly active Discord server ourselves. We have a Prowlers and Paragons Ultimate Edition server.
And feel free to post that in my Discord. That is one of the things I pride myself on my Discord, is that we are a community of gamers, for gamers, by gamers.
And actually, I ended up converting my Patreon to a chat play Patreon where you can, whatever, depending on what level you are, you can get like multiple characters and have multiple storylines going on. So it's basically like the classic play-by-post, but it's a lot more interactive.
Right.
And you actually can play with other player characters, and we actually have put in special dice bots and even GM bots and all kinds of stuff. So it's pretty cool. So if you're like, I'm desperate for a game or just want to really get your story on,
it's a good place to do it.
Stuff going on with that.
Yeah, please send me all the links or put them. Feel free to post. You have full post rights in the main Discord, and I marked you as a publisher. So and it was so funny because I just happened to be at work and I saw the Big Irish, and I was like, I know who that is.
That one has definitely gotten around.
I do miss your during, excuse me, my Brooklyn's slipping out there. I apologize. I'm letting it show.
Forget about it.
Forget about it. I miss the Big Irish vlog that you used to do. Yeah, that
Oh
was.
yeah,
Yeah, you remember it. I mean, you only did
I
a
do.
couple, but they were a lot of fun. You
Yeah,
looked like you were
people
truly enjoying yourself.
people are trying to get me to get back into doing stuff like that. It's just the time, man.
Right.
It's just
It's
I've got all these books that Evil Beagle needs me to write. I actually have been I am on a job hunt right now. Just because while we've been doing really really well, I'm at the point now where I'd like a little bit more security. So I'm getting into check writing or content development or something like that in
yeah.
the private sector,
Right.
and I've got some pretty interesting things going on. And actually, I got invited to apply, and on a whim I went for it, and I got hired as a bartender slash sometime instructor for this place called Ink and Drink. It's in the art district here in Denver, South
Nice.
Denver. So Big Irish will actually be a legitimate bartender as opposed to just making drinks for his friends.
Right.
And they call me Big Irish there too.
Yeah.
And I'm the old guy. Like that started by all these younger kids. It's a screen printing thing.
Yeah.
I swear to God, this is like the coolest thing. There's been all these crafty type things where you can go and paint and like drink wine.
Yeah.
Well, now these guys have it set up. There's a full-on bar, but it's going to primarily focus on local distilleries and local beers. But they've got these carousels set up where you can learn how to screen print your own T-shirts or your own tote bags and stuff like that. And they went ahead and trained us on how we can show other people how to do it. My primary thing is to be the bartending thing, but I can also step in and do the training thing.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, I'm going to be doing some other stuff along those lines, just to I'm just branching out and having some fun doing some other stuff for a little while.
Well, I left the world of IT. I mean, I had I had 10 years of law enforcement, and I left that to go into IT when my eldest child was born. And then I just got tired of the rigmarole and how to put it politely, the stupid people in corporate America. And I went into, I switched, 180 degrees. I went into warehouse management.
There you go.
And I'm still working for the same company that I was working for in IT, but now I'm in the warehouse management, and I gotta say, I'm home every day before dark.
You know what? That's quality of life, man. Quality of life.
I don't have any stress. My phone rings maybe once a week as opposed to 100 times a day.
Oh yeah, I gotta imagine that's gotta be nice.
Yeah. So
I did IT support for just a little while. Bizarrely enough, even though I didn't have an IT background, just knowing as much as I did about email and WinZip and silly things like that, I was working at a law firm where they were so backwards. I was the most technically savvy person, so they made me the IT clerk for the law firm. And yeah, my life was like that. So I know just from that little bit how crazy that is. So,
and I did it for 20 years, and it's I'm next year I will officially be a senior citizen, and I got to say I'm happier now than I ever have been.
You're still a young punk to me.
He's a wee lad. So,
but so I've got a whole bunch of stuff to write still. Just to do a little pimpage, we've got the Omniverse concept, which is our meta brand, where all of our different settings, everything that we're publishing, is part of one giant multiversal existence. So the Blood and Justice setting, the Pinnacle City setting. I've got Modern Gods coming out, which is basically the superhero version, if you will, the superhero parallel to Shinetar. It's my mega epic setting for supers. I've got another setting called Unending War that I'm working on, which is kind of diesel punk meets Golden Age with some Kirby Cosmic sprinkled in. And so people really like that one a lot, so that'll definitely be up there. I've got another setting called Shard Warriors, which that one's a little more. It's very space fantasy, epic pulp adventure kind of stuff.
Ooh.
The professor's got the Well of the Worlds, which is Lost World, modern people, in a strange land kind of stuff, and Kaze 5, which is his anime punk setting. And then Dr. James Fielder, aka Pigeon, is working with us, and he's got Her Majesty's Rakes and Scoundrels, which is kind of steampunk, but more just alt history pulp.
Ooh.
And it's really, really, really cool. And he is, like I say, doctor because he's a political science guru. He's well known. So this stuff's got deep alt history.
Lots of teeth.
It's got a lot of teeth to it. Yeah.
Yeah,
but it's fun. Right? He's still a gamer. He's still a fun guy.
Right.
And so we've got all these really cool settings, and there's a lot more in the works. And this is not like so much of a massive exclusive reveal, but it hasn't been talked about a whole lot. We have the Freedom Squadron Kickstarter about to launch finally.
I've been waiting.
And I'd wait for the next set of books for that. But we are working on a Prowlers and Paragons iteration, which will be called The World of Freedom Squadron.
Ooh.
The original Spyglass guys are thrilled about it because they love the PNP system as well, and they're actually excited about it being one of the first presentations of the AAE engine. And that iteration will actually represent the official Omniverse reality of Freedom Squadron. So the Freedom Squadron characters will be in the same shared reality as all the superhero characters and everything else. So you'll be able to have crossover adventures where you have Freedom Squadron characters or their enemies and all these other Awesomeverse characters, as we're calling them, like with the Robotrons and all the other 80s and 90s cartoons type homage characters that we're making for that stuff, pouring right into our superhero settings and our pulp settings and everything else. So we're setting it up so we can have all this crossover branding.
Well, and you've got one engine basically.
Yeah, it's
so yeah, it's cohesiveness and ease of play. Because I've been reading the system, for those that don't know, Big Irish was nice enough to send me a PDF copy via drive-through. So again, thank you, muchos gracias.
Oh, and I'll make the same offer to you that I did for Arcader Zero and anybody else who's so kind to give us such wonderful exposure. You want to get online and play, we'll set up a game, or I'll invite you into one of my other online games so you can come guest star so you get a chance to actually play it.
I got like 3 or 4 people already on the Mr. Mean Speaks that are begging, like, ask Sean if we, Jonathan Baldridge, a.k.a. the Batman, is a huge fan as well, and he's on my Discord. And Cosmic Flux is another. He's one of my Patreons. He's been a long time Patreon member. He's supported the channel for years now.
We'll do it.
Yeah,
we can record it. We can make it.
Let's do it. I can make seismic.
So we can, and we'll use Astral. So you'll have a nice visual with all the maps and the tokens and everything.
Sure.
We'll make it a party.
Yeah, we'll make it happen. We'll get it all organized.
Yeah, but this is exciting stuff. I love doing this, and I love the joy people have with it. The thing is, I have not yet encountered a single person who has played this game who hasn't walked away going, "Holy crap! I had no idea it was that easy and that fun." The thing that is really catching people's attention is reading the book is one thing, but when you play and you realize, wait a minute, this game wants me to push it. It wants me to be imaginative and creative and try all kinds of things with my powers and be really cinematic and creative about what I'm doing with these cool abilities. I'm not limited to, well, the rules say you can't do that.
Right.
No, the rules are much more about, sure you can. And if it's really out there, spend a resolve. Otherwise, it's just creative and just go for it. And that's been so much fun watching like 6-year-old kids and 60-year-old people who've never role played before, who decide for the first time to sit down and try something, and everyone in between just lose their minds going, I had no idea this could be this much fun.
Yeah.
So I've been having fun with that.
Yeah. Well, you are a consummate GM. I've played in several of your games, and you always bring the energy, the hype, the fun. And I don't know anybody who's played in one of your games that I've played in that walked away and went, man, that guy's whacked. Everybody had fun, and that's all that matters. So if I caught this right, we're going to see Shinetar in PNP.
Nope.
No?
Nope.
We'll see the world.
Nope.
No?
Shinetar is firmly and thoroughly in the hands of Savage Mojo, and they are. I wish them all the best.
Yeah.
And it's there was some conversations about whether or not we want to try to do some crossover stuff, but it did not pan out. And I actually reached a point emotionally and creatively where I finally had to simply, truly, as the song says, let it go.
Mm-hmm.
I had a little. Actually, here's your exclusive.
Lay it on me.
I haven't talked about this on any podcast yet, or any vidcast or anything yet. So yeah, this will be interesting. I had a very emotional and spiritual journey where, because those characters, Shinetar was very, very important to me for a very, very long time. And the characters, Sidarin and Silesia and the Ascended, Dranik, Ileana, Landra, Sylvanas, Arcanon, all of them. They were important parts of my emotional. They represented things to me. There's so many characters in that world, and there's the places and the stories. And they all meant something important to me. Jennifer and I went back east because my mom really wanted to meet her. So we went back to Tennessee, and we went to Chattanooga. That's where my family owned some property up on Signal Mountain. And one of the things that we did is we went to Rock City on Lookout Mountain because Jennifer is a huge fan of American Gods, which Neil Gaiman based a lot of that on various important places,
excellent
places
show, by the way.
Exactly, various places of importance in American zeitgeist, American pop culture, and Rock City was, in fact, the scene of the last battle in that book. And Jennifer had never been there before, so we went, and she had a revelation as we were walking around, and it's it is truly amazing the way they set it up, the way it is naturally, and then what they did to integrate everything. It's just incredible. If you've never been, it's truly worth the trip. But as we're going around, she looked at me and she said, "I now know where Shinetar came from." And I realized she was right. As a child, I'd spent a lot of time there. My grandparents had lived up on Signal Mountain my whole life when I was growing up, and we lived in Atlanta, so we went there all the time because it was not even 2 hours. I spent a lot of time in Rock City, so it was obvious. It was the place inspired a lot of my thoughts of my spirituality, my thoughts about spirits and nature and everything. So I found myself connecting to the place, and I found myself at a point. We went into the Hall of the Mountain King, which, by the way, I remembered is where I came up with Dranik. And there was a pool there, and the pool I used to connect to Ileana, and there was wind that day. I mean, this was a fairly hot summer day in other places, but for some reason, all around Chattanooga, it was a very windy day. And of course, the trees and the nature. So all four of them were there. And I ended up having this very emotional moment where I told them that I knew that they would live on forever, and that I was grateful that I had given them the life that they had, and grateful for what all they had given me, but that I had to let them go. That I could no longer go where they were going. I needed to let go so that I could finally focus on new creations, on new worlds, on new things. I couldn't keep dipping back into that space and writing for it and doing other stuff for it because I wasn't going to be able to do anything with it officially. It was no longer mine, and that was my choice. I did that. It was not. No one stole it from me. No one took it from me.
Right.
I made the conscientious choice to hand it over to a bunch of people who sacrificed a lot to help finish a Kickstarter that I was not able to finish because that box set behind you demanded it had to be done, and I couldn't do both.
Right.
And so that choice was made, And so I needed to finally, years later, let them go on, and they need to let me go. And we ended up going out of the exit of the Hall of the Mountain King into this little grotto, trees, and the wind just came down and spun around like this little cycle. And I broke down into tears like a little child. And Jennifer just kind of grabbed me and pulled me out to the side. And it was cleansing. It was a very cathartic, cleansing moment. I haven't been a particularly spiritual person most of my life, but in the recent years with her, I've sort of tapped into that. And yes, it's an imaginary place, but for me, spirituality oftentimes is a matter of us finding the constructs, finding the way to identify an idea and giving it life in some way. And I feel very strongly as an artist, as a creator, that I gave life to those ideas. And so they meant something to me, and saying goodbye to them was important. So yeah, I haven't talked about that to anybody outside of my very immediate circle. This is the first time I've spoken about it publicly ever. I love Shinetar and always will. I still have a few things around here that represent it, but for the most part, I've let all the rest of it go. And again, I know people out there are enjoying it and playing it. I will never not sign a book if someone asks me, but I'm not running it anymore.
Yeah. Well, you've grown up. You've moved on. There's nothing wrong with that, man. That's growth. That's character growth. You leveled up, as the old saying goes.
The Omniverse, Modern Gods, the Tales of Nick Silverwolf. I have a novel that has lain fallow for too long, and the Walker Between the Ways needs his story told. It's a really cool novel. I know it's going to be awesome. It's the story of an occult detective monster hunter thrust into the world of four-color, cape-wearing superheroes, and the juxtaposition of those. The first line of the novel is, "This was nothing at all like the time he cut that werewolf's head off." And from there, he's thrust into a battle. He's thrust into a battle where there's people with capes and powered armor,
flying and shooting lasers out of their eyes.
And then the whole story is they have to deal with the supernatural world that he lives in, because they there's this huge thing going on that has this. Anyway, it's going to be epic, and I'm just like I said, I've got so many other things to write and do. So,
you got to get on it.
I got to get on it.
Yeah, I mean, there's not enough hours in the day, as the old saying goes. I mean, creative people like you, that is the common theme that I see, is that passion to always create, which, and everybody has it everybody has that spark of some kind. Some people are good with numbers, some people are good with computers, some people are good at storytelling, some people are good at writing. It's just one of those things that it's whatever your muse is. Yeah,
this is crazy, weird diagram I started working on for Shard Warriors, right? So just nobody's seen that publicly either. So here you go. That's just crazy stuff I'm always
doing.
Mr.
Bean exclusives. I love it.
It's
Sean, you have. I mean, I've known of you obviously most of your career. I followed you quite a bit because you're writing. This sounds horribly fanboyish, but your writing speaks to me. Everything in Shards of the Stone, for the pups out there that don't know, go on. Oh, I don't even know if it's on drive-thru anymore. I think it's not there.
It's not available. It is out of.
So if you see this dark cover with some glyphs on it, pick it up. Called Shards of the Stone.
The only way you're picking it up is in secondary market at this point.
Yeah, and it's a classic. And the writing in there was amazing. I mean, I sucked into that world, and then through that world, I found Shinetar, and your articles on Shadus and stuff. So I've followed you for. I doubt a lot of people know about what Shadus even is, but.
That's where Knights of the Dinner Table started.
Exactly. So classic. There's a new one out by Angus McManus called Parallel Worlds. I'm not sure if you've heard of it.
I've heard of it. Yep. Yep.
I highly recommend it. Angus is on the channel on my Discord, and I did a short 4-issue review. And it was
anybody trying to do magazines or periodicals these days. More power to them.
Yeah,
if they can figure out how to do it.
Well, he's done it in a PDF format, and I think that's obviously the way to go. And his content is amazing because he's got a little bit of something in there. He's got book reviews, he's got tabletop games, he's got board games, he's got everything.
The zine thing kind of came back alive again. So
I'm happy it did because, like I said, Parallel Worlds is phenomenal. If you get a chance to check it out, please do.
We're trying to actually launch a product line that I'm calling Answering the Call, because our whole thing is, we said the world needs heroes. That was our tagline for Prowlers Paragons. So what we've been saying, we need to support the line, and we can't just keep doing big Kickstarter books all the time.
Right.
So we need smaller books, smaller, tight content. So I wanted to go back to the Adventures Club, but actually I wanted to do even tighter, a single product that covers a villain or a concept or a faction or something, and start to finish, it's answering the call, and it takes you into a piece of one of the worlds, and that can totally be applied to your own homebrew game, or you use it in the setting that was written for, or you can. I've finally gotten beaten over the head, and they're not all setting specific. So actually, it looks like our first one's actually going to be about Bigfoot and all the different iterations thereof. The professor, Michael Serbrook, did a deep dive on the cryptozoology of Bigfoot, Sasquatch, and all the other iterations.
It's real big up here in Minnesota.
So we're gonna have an answering the call where you can insert that into your Prowlers and Paragons game, with one or another version of the Bigfoot story and different ways to interact with it.
It's almost like the back in the I don't know, probably early '90s, maybe early 2000s. I think it was DC Comics had the Dial H for Hero.
Yep.
Which it was a boy and a girl, and they had these dials, and they would dial Hero, and they never knew what they were going to turn into. And I think it was fan submitted. Fans would write into DC Comics and say, I want a hero that's a toxic Avenger, or whatever, and they would make they would draw it and make it. And I don't think it had a very long print run, but it was pretty cool at the time. So,
but no, it lasted for a little while, and then it's gotten resurrected a few times. I remember.
You remember it, yeah. So something like that in an RPG in a P&P format, I think would be super excellent because
it's funny because a lot of people have asked me. Said because one of the big things, of course, anytime you make a superhero game, the challenge is, can it make any hero?
Right.
And the reason it took Len and I so long to go from the original Prowlers and Paragons that he had written and published to this version is we beat the unholy hell out of each other's work, and we pulled together multiple teams of some really, really amazing people, and then we refused to be satisfied until we got to the point of, this is as good as we're going to be able to make it. We'll find stuff that's wrong. We'll tinker. We'll put out ideas, but this engine will do the job that we want it to do.
Well, I can tell you, I started reading it today on my lunch break, and I got through the basic dice mechanics, and I was like, well, I like this. Now my fans will tell you that I am not a fan of D6 systems. Now, that being said, I have several of them that I enjoy. I love Fantasy Age. I love Modern Age. I love like Champions. Back in the day, I mean, we all played Champions. But what I'm reading so far, I'm really enjoying. I mean, it makes sense.
Here's your deep dark secret: you could roll any die. Now, for the two successes thing, you would just need to
expound. If you're using a D10, maybe 3s, 7s, and 10s. Or
your swinginess. You could adjust swinginess. The D6s are the perfect pitch for classic and cinematic supers.
Right.
And I'm just saying. So play it as written.
Oh yeah. Oh, I plan on it.
And then screw with it. But you could do any, count the evens or whatever.
Right.
But we intentionally, I very specifically intentionally said, I remember when playing Champions, which one of my biggest goals was I wanted Champions players to come to the table and go, it's not really Champions, but I recognize that.
I get it.
Counting body. It's like counting body. That's exactly what that is, but it's even more meaningful than counting body because it's successes for everything. But sixes are exciting. Sixes are exciting. Sixes are exciting. Oh, look at all the sixes. Oh my God. The tangible, emotional impact of throwing a bunch of dice on the table and everybody getting to go, holy shit, look at all the sixes.
Yeah.
That is a genuine emotional experience that is shared by the table.
Yeah. Keeps everybody interested too.
I'm an entertainer, right? Yeah. There's this clattering noise of dice that hit the table. Everyone's going, holy crap, look at all the sixes. Or if the GM does it, like, oh God, look at all those sixes.
Yeah. And I can see you going, standing up, because half the time you GM standing up. You start sitting down, and about a quarter of the way through it, you're standing up. And I can just see you going, chugga, 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 and everyone just leaning over the table. Yeah, like in the Rifts game at Chupacabra. So, yeah, I can totally see. Well, I'm definitely looking forward. I've been reading it. I've been enjoying it. I am going to give it a full review, but
you can make any character. No one has stumped me yet. No one has stumped Len yet. We went in, and there is not a single concept from comics, movies, or anything else. Now, there are people who have intentionally come up with really bizarro, bent backwards ideas that take a little bit of effort for us to go, well, if you really need it to work exactly like that, okay, then we'll have to take a little bit. But anything that was generally, just if you looked at the comics, that's how that character really worked. Boom, it's right there.
Yeah.
And easier than any other game. One of the things that I've really enjoyed is all the hero system guys. I cut my teeth on Hero. I was the high priest of Hero. That was actually my nickname back in the day. But man, you had to really put the work in to make certain powers function. And
it was effort.
Exactly the way you wrote them. And with this, like Rogue, the character of Rogue, build her in Champions. There's like 12 different ways to build her, and each of them is going to take about an hour or two.
Right.
And that's if you're good with the system. Prowlers and Paragons, power theft, done. Add in the basic brick package. There she is.
Yeah,
she's done.
Good to go. Yeah, I mean, well, the elephant in the room. Let's is I was talking to a friend of mine who's knee deep in the RPG industry, in the hobby, and he's a diehard Mutants and Masterminds fan. And I said, you're right. It is a good system. The problem is I don't want to have a PhD to play a game. I don't want to have to break out an Excel spreadsheet to play and to play the game. No, all you need is a D20 and the curve.
To run the game is chewy.
And to make a character, you're not going to belt out a character in 10 minutes. Even using the Game Master screen's character creator thing where it's just a couple random rolls, you still have to go figure out bonuses and negatives and everything, and it becomes a chore. And don't get me wrong, I love Mutants and Masterminds. There's a whole shelf of it up there. I have just about everything for all three editions, first, second, and third.
I'm studying their stuff very carefully for how we want to do our content.
But it's just too much crunch for me. And I started reading P&P, and I'm like, wait a minute. So my opponent rolls his dice, and that becomes my target number, and that's all I need to do. And if I roll a bunch of sixes, I can ad-lib, basically. Well, shit, I like that. And I don't have to have a PhD in math to do that. So
here's the ultimate trick, and it's a very small piece in the book, and it's actually one of the most important GM tools ever created, in my opinion, because every time I point this out to any game master and they realize what it actually is, they lose their freaking minds. Page 111, Super Mooks. And the name even is like
tells
not,
you
it's not adequate. What this is the ultimate quick and dirty any character you need on the fly.
I like it.
So I don't just use it for emergency on the fly characters. I use it for all my game prep now. Yeah. I don't ever, for anything I'm not publishing, I never write up a villain sheet for anyone.
You just use ever. That.
All you do, because there's the minion rules, which is a group of minions has a threat rating. Right. That represents what they're generally competent at. Then their half threat rating, which is literally half, round up, is the stuff they're only half competent at. And then they get their bonus dice based on how many of them are attacking you. That's all that minions do. And then their health is literally how many of them are there. Well, that's their health.
Right.
The Super Mook takes the threat rating concept and says, all right, what's the general competence of that character? Give them that threat rating. So if it's going to be a really, really solid street level person, 6. If it's going to be a really amazing, super, 8, 9, whatever. That means all the stuff that they're going to roll by default, that's how many dice they're going to roll.
Right.
If they're not supposed to be particularly good at it, they're going to roll half that. That's their half threat rating. Now, are they supposed to be really, really fast? Then double their threat rating. That's their edge. Are they supposed to be really slow? Then just
third.
take their half threat rating, and that's their edge. So
You're
somewhere
done.
in the middle,
yeah.
or somewhere in the middle is their edge. And then if they're supposed to be really, really tough, their threat rating is their health. Their half threat rating is their health if they're really weak, or the average of the two if they're somewhere average.
Right.
What's their power set? You don't even have to pick powers from the book. You can simply say badass melee, super sorcerer, fire powers.
Right. And you already know the dice. You already know how many dice you're rolling.
He's a tank, and then you write in 12 dice, 14 dice, or whatever.
Right.
You assign them
I love
2 or
it.
3 things that they're supposed to, have dice in, and the rest of it is like a quick note. If you know that if there's like a sense that they absolutely have to have, otherwise you just know they're going to have it because they're supposed to have it. Boom, you're done. You can make an entire team of supervillains in 10 minutes.
That's beautiful.
That's why I'll take this with me to the desert island. Because
it's everything you need.
I can prep an entire game in 10 to 15 minutes if I have a scenario idea.
Yeah.
And all I need is
your Post-it note, and you're good to go.
Exactly. And that, I have to give credit where it's due. The core concept, all in.
Yeah.
Now, once again, have I tinkered a little bit? Yes, but
that's what you do, though. We all know that. I mean, that's what you do. I mean, that's a prime example right there. I remember you were telling the story, and someone was like, well, how do I make a coalition dog boy? And you're like, don't try to convert it from Palladium to Savage Worlds. Just give it the Savage Worlds equivalent and be done with it. It's it's a dog that walks like a man. It has super senses, and it's a little bit stronger, and it has claws. You're done. Move on.
Exactly.
What's your next character? Don't make the system fit the system.
Yeah.
Make the system work for you. Don't work hard. Work smart.
Exactly.
And that's my daddy saying that. Don't work hard. Work smart.
Yeah. And so all my friends now, every time, all the GMs I know, when I show that to them, then they're like, "Oh my God, I can't imagine." Because they'll see like on Astral, I'll run these gigantic freaking set pieces with 40, 50 tokens, just all over the place, and they're like, "Good God, you must have spent days." I'm like, not an hour.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm running Fallout right now for Modiphius. We just had our first session, and we're loving it. I'm a big fan of the 2D20 system. They work for me. But I'm really enjoying that everybody is enjoying the game so far. And like I said, we just had our first session. But there's those systems where, they're either elegant or they're simple. For me, the 2D20 system is simple. It's just I can run with it, and it's I've run tons of.
I have not had the pleasure yet, so I'd like to try it sometime.
Yeah, you should. It's I'm a huge Mutant Chronicles fan. I followed the IP for 20 years when they were with Heartbreaker Hobbies, and that fiasco of that company going under for mismanagement. And it's a shame because they had such a great IP, and they did such cool things, but unfortunately it wasn't meant to be. But I have all those books from the original version, and then of course I have Modiphius's version. And I love it when, as a GM, the system speaks to me. And what little I've read so far of P&P, it's and then now you tell me this about the GM, so I'm like, that's a dream for me, because I don't always have time to prepare, and I need, even in Modiphius you can't do that. It's just not an option. Rock your world, man. Yeah. So I'm super excited to see it. We're gonna get the fellas together, but we have been chatting for an hour.
Yes, and I've got...
you got writing to do.
Well, actually, no, I have a lady waiting for me.
So, but far be it from... I truly, truly want to say an honor and a pleasure and a joy to just spend this time with you. You're welcome to stay on the server if you want to bounce, because you have so many.
Absolutely.
It's no harm, no foul. Please feel free to post any of your links on the server to your Patreon and everything. If you want to send them to me in the chat that we have going right now, feel free, and I'll put them in the links for the video, so that hopefully that'll drive some people towards you. Because the thing is, Mr. Mean Speaks is about bringing the gaming community. There's enough hate and discontent and discord in the world that I want this to be a safe place for everybody, no matter what your race, creed, religion, political standing. We don't talk politics on my channel. We don't talk religion at all. We talk about tabletop games and the joy that it brings us, and that's what's important. And so one of my guys just reached out to me and said, I've been going through some rough stuff. Do you have a game that's going on? I'm like, yeah, let me check with my players. And I reached out to my players for the Fallout game, and they're like, yeah, sure, no problem, more the merrier. So I'm like, dude, you're in. We'll get together and we'll make a character, because that's what it's about, right? You see someone kneeling, help lift them up. So that's what we're about. John. Yeah. So
and John, I'm looking forward to getting the game on for you and the crew you pull together.
We'll stay in touch. I'll shoot you if you jump into the main chat there on the Mr. Mean Speaks. You'll see that the Batman's already drooling. So.
Works for me, man.
Yeah, we'll get a night together and we'll make it happen. We'll be at your schedule though, at your convenience. You tell us what works for you. But I don't want to hold you from your lady love anymore. Tell people where they can find you online.
So I'm actually posting a bunch of links. It's for you to post up later, but I'll say right now, evilbeaglegames.com, and especially you want to check out Portalis, which is the professional game master service that Evil Beagle Games is running, where you can get your friends together for official games run by our cadre of pro GMs that we're building up right now. We're on Drive-Thru RPG, obviously, so if you want to buy our products. If you're looking to just chat with me, there is an official Prowlers Paragons Discord server that is very active, fantastic community, highly recommend it. We also have the P&P UE, the Omniverse Facebook group, also very active, very, very fun group there. I'm incredibly easy to find on Facebook and happy to welcome you. Sean Patrick Fannin. Facebook is, I know, old people, but that's where I am. I do post to Twitter, but not a whole lot.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you need to drop me an email, SPF, Sean Patrick Fannin, so SPF at evilbeaglegames.com. And
that's how I got a hold of you.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm a very, very public person, and happy to hear from you guys.
Yeah.
And again, I'm going to give John all the links, so they'll be in the YouTube.
We'll put them in the YouTube, and we'll repost them to the Discord channel. So I will say I emailed Evil Beagle, just reaching out to Sean, and all I got was a reply back at first. It said, "You have been heard, amigo." So obviously he kind of remembered me.
I did remember you.
Yeah, I'm a kind of a hard guy to forget, 6 foot, big and hairy. So, and 260 pounds. I'm fat. I got to lose weight. I'm happy.
You're fine, man. You're fine.
Yeah, my wife still loves me, and I can reach the stuff on the top shelf. So, Sean, thank you so much, sir. Pleasure as always. I wish you nothing but love, happiness, and success. And for everybody out there, thank you, sir. Thank you. Everybody, you know how to get a hold of Sean. Go support the game. Prowlers and Paragons, phenomenal system. I'm still reading it. Full review coming hopefully by the end of this week. No guarantees. I have a camping trip with my family for the weekend, so that's going to cut into my free time. But Sean, keep up the good work. Fight the good fight. Keep those local breweries in business. And we love you, man. We love you. Thank you so much.
Game on, and everyone belongs unless you're a hater. Then you can go away.
That's right.
Cheers.
Peace.
Peace.